Hey everyone, welcome to another Malts and Meeples. I'm Petter. Today, as you can see in the description, we are tackling the 8th game I'm playing of Aeon's End Legacy, and it is in fact Chapter 8, the final chapter of this game. So, let's take a sip of my old fashioned and let's just get straight to the table because I have an episode of What If to watch tonight, and it's Marvel Zombies, and I'm really curious to see what it's going to be like. Of course, I just realized I've got a couple things here. Two charges on Zollifer. Plus, health is probably fairly important for all these characters. And Zollifer is rocking 15 health. Almost forgot, but alright, so before I get down to the table, let's go through our legacy cards here and figure out our setup. So we need to find somewhere. Guessing these are at the back here. Zaxos Ascended. So we have some level 0 cards here. A lot of them. Looks like spells that he can sling. Not going to look at them too closely though. 1, 2s, and 3s. I have no idea how much health Zaxos is going to have here. Probably, I'm actually guessing he might not have a ton of health because he was a breach mage before. He's going to have more than my 15, that's for sure. Well, looks like everything else in the legacy deck is conclusion. So we just need to get Zaxos Ascended from the void inside out. Let's see what we have here. Zaxos Ascended divider card. 90 health. Setup. He has a breach mat. Get that set off to the side here. So it looks like he has spells of different costs. So we shuffle the 5. I must have included a 4. Oh, that's what it is. And then 3. So he's a spell deck and a concentrate deck. So I don't know what that means. Let's see. Unleash. Draw a spell from his spell deck and put it on the leftmost breach with no spell prepared in it. If all his breaches have spells prepped in them, cast the drawn spell instead. At the start of the Nemesis turn, Zaxos, Ascended, casts all his prep spells in order from left to right. Place cast spells face down on the bottom of the spell deck. During the player's main phase, players may lose charges equal to the cost of one of Zaxos' prep spells to place it face down at the bottom of the spell decks. When Zaxos Ascended concentrates, place the top card of the concentrate deck face down at the bottom of the spell deck. When Zaxos would concentrate and the concentrate deck is empty, unleash instead. When a player is exhausted, Gravehold suffers 5 damage instead of unleash twice. Resolve the rest of the exhausted effect. Alright. I have a tiny bit of cold, so if I'm slightly less high energy, that combined with the fact that I've been working outside all day might have something to do with it. Now I realized that I was playing one thing wrong this whole time. That definitely made it slightly easier for myself, which is basically that these breaches here, you can prep a spell to them when you focus a breach. So I was probably getting more spells out than I should have, though towards the end I was opening up those breaches pretty fast. Let's see who goes first. Zolifer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Crumbling Compound on top. Keeping a card in hand. And drawing up to my 5. Nemesis. Unleash twice. Draws a spell. So we have a flare and a flare. Gravehold suffers 1 damage for each player turn order card in the discard pile, so only 1. So now I can spend charges to remove those spells. But right now these flares are just 1 damage to Gravehold. If it's a player card, that player suffers 2 damage. I suspect Aeon's minion spell is not going to be as useful anymore. Oh man, yeah, I do want to do that. I was like, do I want to get a pulse or something to help her start getting pulse tokens to start getting that card cycle going? But right now, I think I'm going to hold off on that, at least for a few moments here. Nemesis goes again. At the start of the Nemesis turn, he fires off both of those. Aeon, of course, is the one there. Suffers 4 damage. Right. Was 1 short on her health. And Gravehold suffers 2. Well, we know it's Aeon coming up next, and I'm going to say screw it. We're just starting out going for him. I don't have that much faith. Ooh, I forgot to do this as well. Two damage Gravehold and discard a card. So I'd actually have switched that up. That would not be any damage to Gravehole or to Zaxos, but 4 damage immediately to that minion. So then it's Ariane's turn. Drop my spells in. We have our 3 to get our grit. And we know this is going to be Zolliver. So we have 6 purchase power. We're going to do Conductive Grit and Brain Knife. We're going to do Brain Knife and Sparking Siphon. Immediately grabbing 2 pulse tokens for him. Want to work on getting Ariane's breaches open as fast as possible. So we shuffle on up and go again. Ariane, boom, boom. That is another 3 damage. 7. I have my stuff here, and I'm going to get another Conductive Grit. It's all about building that pulse engine. Ariane, perfect. Hit that one. Take him out. 2 damage. And now I have a spark, but I also have 1, 2, plus I gain a pulse. 3, 4, 5, 6 because I cast her spell. I'm going to start gaining some charges with 2 of those. So I'm at 4. Can keep one of these guys in my hand. Here, this allows me to gain 2 pulse. When I get this card, I'm going to spend 2 pulse, throw it into play. Keep that one in my hand. Oh yeah, the Arcing Silicate also gives me pulse tokens now, so I need to start getting some of those as well. That matters more for Ariane to get those pulse tokens, but it's a quick way for Zolliver to potentially spend a little bit of pulse tokens to cast spells or to heal. So let's see who we have next. Zolliver. Well, 1 damage to the big bad, down to 87. 5. Crumbling Compound. Get that money rolling. Of course, we're going to have a nemesis here. Power 2. Unleash twice. Zolliver discards their most expensive prep spell. So Unleash would get a couple more spells in there. No way to get rid of this. Just gives us some timing. Nemesis. Persistent. Perlatus of Fire. Persistent. Zaxos Ascended concentrates. Reveal the top card of the Zaxos Ascended's spell deck. If a spell costs 3, destroy it. Alright, we want to get rid of that as fast as possible. Zolifer, do your thing. I mean, it's something. Brain Knife. Gain charge. Focusing. Then that gets discarded. We have 4, 5, 6, 3. Drop that on top there. 3, another Brain Knife. That Perlatus of Fire sucks. Oh, of course. So unleash twice, drawing 2 spells. Gravity Nova and Incinerating Fist. That is gone. And Concentrate, Reveal, Destroy. Still only at 3 cost cards here, but that sucked. Aeon. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4 damage. Coming over there. We'll do it like that. I'm going to have, so basically I have my Conductive Grit here. 5 purchase power. Fiery Conclusion, which actually is going to be the one that I'd have pulled back. Nemesis again. So this happens. It's going to be a 3-er. So we have a 4 in there now. And then flip here. Perlatus of Pain. When this minion is discarded, Zaxos concentrates. Persistent, 2 damage, or a player loses a charge. Well, that's 5 damage. That's 6 total. Concentrates. Maybe not my best play. I'm getting an Arcing Silicate in order to get more of those pulse tokens. We know it's going to be Zolifer here. That's 2 damage. We're going to discard a pulse token. So 2 damage, take 3 off. 1 short. So by doing this, basically, by him discarding 1, we get a health back there. And I have Conductive Grit to gain me 1 back, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 purchase power. Fiery Conclusion and Conductive Grit. Or not Conductive Grit, Brain Knife. Zolifer again. Fires that one off, dealing the final damage. But damage was definitely done there. And I have kind of a lousy combo here. We're going to do the Infernal Mirror. Just getting his support up and running as fast as possible. Oh, those 2 spells should have gone off. So, we'll go back. 2 damage, Zolifer obviously. And Gravehold suffers 3 damage. Zolifer will just discard a card currently from his hand to call it good. Those 2 go to the bottom. Unleash twice. Flare. An Incinerating Fist. Destroy one of the prepped 3-costers. And he concentrates. No. Gravehold suffers 3 down to 21. We have to be getting close to a 4 on top there. Attack. Any player suffers 2. Discards a card from hand. And my other brain knife. So nothing happens there. Now it's our go. So Zolifer doesn't have much of a hand right now. I have either 4 purchase, I can get a gem I can place on top, or 4 purchase, I can get a spell with that. I'm going to do 4 purchase to get a spell. I need to start getting charges. That's for sure. And I need to remember with Aeon, I can discard a card. I'll heal her up again. 2 more damage, 85. To just deal that 1 damage to ping, I would have potentially been able to get rid of some of the characters or things sooner. I mean, we're going to fire this off for the 3 damage. 1 purchase power. 2, 3. I get a pulse, and I have 5 purchase. So I'm going to open up this breach. Yeah, I'm going to open up this breach. And then, since I have 2 pulse tokens again, I still actually have 2 purchase, but with those 2 pulse tokens, get our fiery conclusion back. And, well, we know it's going to be Aeon again, so 3, 7, 8. Starting to hit hard. Oh, this is important. I do this draw beforehand so that this goes in here. 8 plus I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 purchase. 5 purchase. I get 2 pulse tokens, which I'm going to spend to, you know it, bring back Fiery Conclusion again. I'm going to purchase another Fiery Conclusion and put that in there. Alright. Now it gets interesting again as to who goes. I have a sneeze coming up here. Come on, me. Aeon. 1, 2, 6 damage. Down to 75. We ripped through a bunch there pretty fast. I have 2 spells, and unfortunately, this crystal can only be used to purchase Yeah, I want to do that because I want to get more chances to get pulse tokens. And then Zolifer. Zolifer, of course, has no spells available, but 5 purchase power, gains a charge, focuses a breach, drop that 4 in there. I'm gonna grab that final charge, I think, yeah. So I have 3 purchase. I don't need another brain knife, I don't feel like, so I'm gonna start working. Now I'm gonna get another sparking siphon and get 2 more there. That feels better. Nemesis. No prep spells. To discard, Aeon discards a card in hand that costs 3 or more on their turn. Power 3. Unleash, any player suffers 3 damage, and collectively they discard 3 cards. So we're going to want to make sure we discard a card. For that, Nemesis. Oh, that stupid one. I really dislike this guy. Just because of the fact he has 4 shield. Unleash, and any player suffers 1 damage. Yeesh. Well, I have a couple shots here. Zolifer, though, is not going to spend his 4 damage to remove a single shield. I do have a spark now. An ally gains a charge. But more importantly, any player gains 2 pulse tokens. I have a guest. This is Louise, who's screaming down here. She will hopefully avoid being on camera. She will not. Give me 1 second here. It's time to go. Say bye-bye. All right. Wait. So we are going to do spend these 2 pulse tokens to cast a prep spell, hitting that. And then Zolifer has another pulse token. And 5 purchase power. Infernal Mirror. Get another one of those into the deck. Hope that they both don't come up at the same time, which actually correct that order that way. And we know it's going to be Aeon. So I'm going to fire off both of these. It's a little bit of a waste. I remove 2. Discard a spark. Five purchase power. Fiery conclusion. Put that in there. Call it good. This could be interesting here. Aeon, perfect. So, I don't actually want to use either of these spells on him, so I'm going to use 6 damage to 65 to Zaxos. And discard a card to deal damage. I'm going to discard a card. It's a risk. I'm not going to discard a card for that. Mainly because this gets me 2 pulse tokens to spend. Plus 4 money. More damage. So it's a risk because, I mean, Zollifer's up next, not bad. Zollifer will spend all his charges here to actually heal himself 3 and not the Nemesis 3, but Gravehold 3. The reason for that is I have the Brain Knife. Gets me a charge, focus. Plus I have 4, but 2 of them are these broken crystal gems. So I'm just going to use it to get more pulses back. So we're already up to 3 again. Just like that. Zollifer definitely did not need as many brain knives as he has. Aeon. Alright. 4, 8, 12 damage. 13 damage. Because of the +1. I'm going to discard that in order to remove this from play. That was fairly risky to try doing that. I have 1 spell. I'm going to discard that for 1 damage. 2 purchase just gives me another charge. She's getting up there in charges. Well, Nemesis was likely. Unleashed twice, Zollifer suffers 3 damage. We have our 4. Cast. The player with the most pulse tokens loses 1 pulse token and suffers 3 damage. Right now that's Zollifer. And that was unleashed twice, yep. The player collectively discard 2 cards in hand and Gravehold suffers 3 damage. Okay, that's not too bad. And then, oh yeah, 3 damage, which I already took off. I just prepped for that. So, first things first, player with the most pulse tokens suffers 3 damage and loses 1 of them. And then Gravehold suffers 3. This is why I healed it. And collectively between the players, they discard 2 cards. We have a caustic larvae, and of course Sulfur can do nothing about. I have 4 purchase here. So I am going to focus here because I have 2 spells in hand and I have 2 left. So now I am 1 shy of being able to use my charge ability again. Make sure I get rid of that card at the bottom of the deck. Shuffle back up. So Zollifer can hit for 5 damage. 6, 7 total. That's what we're sitting at now. Of course it's Nemesis, so it doesn't matter. I forgot to grab my Evolve stickers. Ugh. And on Unleash, Cinnamon Fist, Gravehold suffers 3. Aeon. Alright, so 2, which we will fire off onto the caustic larvae. To spend, because I want that pulse. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 damage coming from her. Sullifer will punch first. He's actually going to discard his pulse token to gain a health himself, and that is 5 damage to our friend over there. Forgotten to draw his hand. Brain Knife doesn't do much good. 5 purchase. Well, gain a charge from the Brain Knife, so that's not bad. And I'm going to immediately spend that. I think I gave Gravehold 1 too many life last time, so I'll adjust that way. And then I have 5 purchase. Fiery Conclusion. Why? Because if I don't start doing more damage fast, this is going to be a fairly fiery conclusion to everything. Well, we saw what that was. It's Nemesis. So, Unleash. Well, first things first, 3 damage to Gravehold. Unleash, placing the top card in there. Gravity Node, any player suffers. And evolve that. Already did. Spend 9, place power 2. Place the bottom card of the concentrate deck on top of the spell deck, then unleash twice. Yay. Alright, Zollifer. I need a money turn. He is not set up quite as well for money this time, I don't think. So that is 2 damage over there. 2 I can use to focus. Two pulse tokens over here. Ally gains a charge. And then I guess Zolifer gains a charge. Like I said, I need to work on getting money clumped. Well, Aeon, Spark, deals the final damage there. Get out of my way. Then I will fire these two off, dealing 3 damage here, down to 48. That does give me 1 money. 2, 3, 4. And a pulse. Oh, 5 and pulse. I can get up to 7 by pulling something back, but I'm still going to pull something back. It's just going to be her shot. 5 purchase. Get 2 pulse. And 2 purchase left. I'm going to fire this off, because I can fire that off for 6, because it pretends to cast it basically without actually casting it, leaving me 2 left. Start building up that again. Alright. 9 money. Oh, it's Zolifer previously has been built for money, but this time less so. So 6 damage. Seven damage, down to 35. We might be able to outrace him at this point. It's going to be tough, because I do have +4, which gains me 2 pulse. I'm going to spend those 2 pulse. Bring back my incinerating fist. Nemesis, we lose 1 there. That goes off. Any player suffers 2 damage and discards a card from hand. It's going to be Zolifer suffering 2 damage. And discarding a card from hand. Already moved. Spend 8. I mean, that's easier. The player with the lowest life total suffers 4 damage. At least nobody's in death range. Zolifer. 5 damage. And then I have no spells, of course. Ally gains a charge, Zolifer gains a charge. Any player gains 2 pulse tokens. Zolifer will do that. Not casting anything. 3 purchase. Grabbing the last Sparking Siphon, which gets him 2 more. Actually, yeah, we'll do it that way. So the reason for doing it reason for emptying out, so you can't see it over here, but I emptied out another pile, and once I have 3 piles empty, then the fiery conclusions deal a whole lot more damage. Aeon, It's going to fire away. That is 9, 13, 17 damage. Takes him down to 13. Now, I can only spend 2 pulse tokens to bring back 1 fiery conclusion. I have 4 purchase here. Looking at my decks to see how close I am to emptying something out. I have one that has 2 left, but I want to get more charges for her. If we're gonna shoot to win via just damage at this point, which I think is going to be our option, Nemesis goes. So, place the bottom card on top and then unleash twice. Any player suffers 2, then a different one suffers 3. Unleash twice. We destroy 1 spell and he concentrates. So this is getting down to it. Like, even though we still have a ton of this deck left to go, he's going to be cycling through basically 4s and 5s at this point in time. We know we have Zolifer left. We need 8 purchase. I can get it myself to 6. Which all that's going to do is fill up his track, allow him to gain back 3 and 2 over here. Then Brain Knife allows him to gain a charge back. This is going to be interesting because Zaxos is really pumping out a lot of damage right now. I think that this is going to end fast either way. Of course, we have Zolifer going first to prolong this. I gain a charge. He has 3 spells in hand. I can put 1 into play. I have 1 buck. I can keep that buck. I'm actually going to discard the other 2 spells. Simply in the hopes of getting a bunch of money. Which, who knows, maybe. Nemesis. So first things first, any player suffers 2, another suffers 3. Any player loses 1 pulse, then suffers 2 damage. Zaxos gains 3 life from that. The player with the most pulse tokens loses 1 and suffers 3 damage. Then we unleash twice. Player with the lowest life total suffers 4 damage. Zolifer, you're not looking great. $7 costs to get rid of this one. Eventually, we have to be able to deal with one of these. Unleash twice, Gravehold suffers 4 damage. Alright. Nemesis. We have prep spells. So, 2 cards between them. And Gravehold suffers 3. Down to 19. Gravehold suffers 3, down to 16. That actually works out just fine. because we know all the nemesis are in here. Zolifer fires that one off for 4. Down to 12. And let's see. I have 6. 6 purchase power. Well, with 6, that's actually just what I need to bring Zolifer's health back up to 4 and heal Gravehold by 2. We know this are Aeon, so 5, 6, 7, down to 5. Spend 2. Bring that back. Drop that in. 4 purchase power. And 2 pulse. I think this is going to be it here, because I think this is Aeon. And if it is, there's 5 health left. Boom, 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 boom. 0. Alright, we have our conclusion. Our epic conclusion to this game. Front of L50. The body of Xaxos lies smoldering in the distance. You hear a cry. Mist, enraged, incinerates a boulder, devastated by the sight of her comrade. With Xaxos defeated, there are no more obstacles in your way. You join together to channel your magic into the breach. Light begins to shine again, swirling, and the swirling black eddy begins to narrow. You are so focused on the closing breach that you don't notice Xaxos push himself to his feet. Covered in burns and scars, he stumbles towards the breach, wheezing. Xaxos reaches to draw from the breach. Something reaches back. A long black tendril extends from the void, lifting Xaxos into the air. He tries to scream, but the tendrils cover his mouth. As the breach closes, Xaxos is pulled in. The last you see of Xaxos is the terror on his face. Sunlight shines where the abyss once hung and warms your face. You have many questions. Where did Maelstrom come from? What happened to Xaxos in the void? These may never be answered, but for now you sit. Feel the breeze and enjoy the warmth of the sun on your skin. This is the first time you felt safe in a long time. You've completed Aeon's End Legacy. Open end of campaign. Booklet found under the insert. For the rules on how to use the content of this game outside of the campaign. Let me flip back over. So basically just a little rule sheet that allows you to continue, and I believe it sets up some randomizer stuff. We have here our end of the campaign deck, which if I can figure out where to tear. There's a little bit of housekeeping, looks like, to be able to continue to playing with this. Mainly there are some cards that are too strong and some cards that are too weak, and so you need to adjust accordingly. See what we have in here. So we have regular crystals, These are to basically replace the ones that got broken. We have our randomizers for all the cards. We have our basic level 1, 2, and 3 nemesis cards, plus a few additional, looks like Bladius, Spawning Horror, Fungal Mesh, Haze Fiend, Deathmind, Maelstrom Risen, and Zaxos Ascended. Basically, these are cards to replace cards in their deck that would not be bounced otherwise. But that's it. That is the whole of the Aeon's End Legacy campaign. I still think, even with the fact that I made the mistake, making it a little bit easier for myself at times, that probably still would have won as I did. I'm trying to think, in terms of legacy games, the story is not one of the better ones. Well, it's a fine story. I think both Pandemic Legacies that I played are better. Seasons 1 and 2. Seafall is worse. Charterstone kind of has the same level of story, maybe a little bit less. And even in some ways, Seafall kind of has the same amount of story. It just isn't presented in as good a way. The legacy elements in this game I really like. I really like that we got to add a lot of stickers to things. And honestly, I think the biggest thing is this marketplace is so much fun to manipulate every single game, because that means that I can change it up and try something different, and it feels like there's a progression in the game. So like this marketplace, I look at it as kind of what I know as a character. That's what I can draw upon, and I can kind of focus what I do throughout a battle by drawing upon different things. And it really, I would say, comes across pretty well in that. And then, like the new mechanics and stuff like that, I thought that was okay. Now, mechanics in Aeon's End work really well because of the fact that you can give each hero slightly different powers, as well as the fact that the nemesis or the nameless can be so different each time. So yeah, it worked. It worked well for me. I'm going to be curious. So I want to say in about 3 weeks, I'm going to start my top 100. And I'm going to be curious to see where this lands in my top 100, because I really do like Aeon's End. I do like Aeon's End Legacy. I'm not going to lump the two of them together because they are different games. So Aeon's End / Aeon's End War Eternal will get lumped together because they're very much the same game. Slight differences, but Legacy game is different enough that I'm going to keep it separate. So, yeah. I'm going to be curious to see where this one lands. How much of a difference it might make with the fact that I've wrapped it up as compared to if I were playing it in the midst of everything. But, with that, my old-fashioned is gone, so do a little toast. But thank you so much for watching. Links down in the description below. If you want to know when I go live, hit that notification bell. Subscribe. I'm going to be, I believe next week my plan is to play Orchard, solo game, 9-card solo game. I'll probably play that 5 or 6 times and just chat because it's a really fast game. But